What is the anatomy of betrayal? It rarely begins with a bang. More often, it's a quiet corrosion, a whispered lie, a hidden transaction, a trust painstakingly built over years, eroded one secret at a time, until the foundation finally gives way. For Dr. Nnanna Clifford, life was a matter of precision. As a pediatric surgeon, his world was one of meticulous control, where every cut, every stitch, held the delicate balance between life and death. He was a man who mended what was broken. But what happens when the chaos he fights in the operating room invades the sanctuary of his home? What happens when the two people he trusts most, his wife and his best friend, become the architects of his ruin? This is a story about what happens when a good man is pushed to the edge, when the very skills he uses to heal are turned to a different purpose, a cold, calculated pursuit of justice. It's a story that proves the most brilliant minds can also be the most dangerous. From Quinn Timeless Tales, we present Surgical Precision, a story that asks, when your world is shattered by those you love, do you break, or do you become the architect of their downfall? Dr. Nnanna Clifford pushed through the clinic doors, the weight of the day pressing down on him. He'd just lost 7-year-old Timothy in surgery, and the grief was a physical presence. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as he gathered his belongings, his hands shaking slightly as he signed the final paperwork. Another child lost to a drunk driver's reckless choice. Another family destroyed. Another piece of his heart chipped away. The drive home felt endless. Rain pelted his windshield as he navigated the evening traffic, his mind replaying every moment of the failed surgery. He'd been a pediatric surgeon for 8 years, but losing a child never got easier. If anything, it got harder. He needed Jessica tonight, needed her arms around him, her reassuring voice telling him he'd done everything possible. Their house came into view, the Tudor-style home they'd bought 3 years ago when his practice really took off. Jessica's car was in the driveway alongside another vehicle he recognized, Leo's silver Porsche. His best friend since medical school must have stopped by. Maybe that was good. Leo always knew how to cheer him up, and Jessica would appreciate the company while he decompressed. Nnanna parked and sat for a moment, letting the exhaustion settle on his shoulders. 32, he felt ancient. The responsibility of holding children's lives in his hands, of facing parents with news that would either make or break their world, aged him in ways that showed more in his soul than on his face. He grabbed his briefcase, jogging through the rain to the front door. The house was quiet when he entered, unusually so. Usually, Jessica would have music playing or the TV on. Leo's booming laugh would echo through the halls. Instead, silence greeted him. "Jess," he called out, setting his keys on the hallway table. "Leo, I'm home." No response. He kicked off his shoes, his feet aching. He noticed Leo's jacket draped over the stair railing, his briefcase on the side table. They were definitely here. Nnanna climbed the stairs, his steps silent on the carpet. "Jess, I had the worst day. I really need to." The words died in his throat. The bedroom door was cracked open, and through the gap he could see them. Jessica, his wife of 5 years, the woman who'd held him when he cried over lost patients, was in their bed. Their marital bed with the Egyptian cotton sheets he'd picked out. But she wasn't alone. Leo, his closest friend, the man who'd been his best man, who knew every dream and fear Nnanna harbored, was there with her. Their bodies intertwined in a way that left no doubt. The sight hit Nnanna like a physical blow, knocking the air from his lungs. They were so absorbed they hadn't heard him come home. Jessica whispered something that made Leo laugh. That same laugh Nnanna had loved for years, now twisted into something ugly. Nnanna stood frozen, his briefcase slipping from his numb fingers and hitting the floor with a soft thud. The sound seemed impossibly loud, but they still didn't notice. They were too busy destroying his world. His legs moved without conscious thought, carrying him backward. He needed to leave before they saw him, before the confrontation that would make this irreversible. He sat in the driver's seat of his car, staring at the house where his marriage had just died. Something cold and calculating settled in his chest where his heart used to be. Jessica thought she was smart. She thought he was just the devoted husband who worked long hours and trusted her completely. Leo thought he was clever, playing the supportive friend while stabbing him in the back. They had no idea who they were dealing with. Dr. Nnanna Clifford hadn't become one of the youngest department heads in the city's history by being weak. He built his career on precision, strategy, and thinking 10 steps ahead. The same skills that made him an exceptional surgeon would serve him well in what came next. As he drove away, Nnanna felt something he hadn't expected. Relief. The pain was there, sharp and deep, but underneath it was clarity. Jessica wanted to play games. Leo wanted to be sneaky. Fine. They were about to learn they'd picked the wrong man to betray. Nnanna found himself pulling into the parking lot of a 24-hour diner, the kind of place he and Jessica used to frequent during their residency. He ordered coffee and pulled out his laptop. 3 missed calls from Jessica. 2 texts from Leo asking if he was okay, complete with "worried about you, man." The betrayal cut deeper than he'd expected. Jessica, he could almost understand. Marriages fell apart. But Leo, they'd been like brothers for 10 years. How many times had Leo sat at his kitchen table drinking his beer, offering relationship advice, all while sleeping with his wife? Nnanna logged into their joint bank accounts, something he rarely did since Jessica handled most of their personal finances. What he found made his blood run cold. Transfers. Multiple transfers over the past 6 months from their joint savings to an account he didn't recognize. Small amounts at first, then larger. Last week, Jessica had transferred $5,000. He dug deeper. The account belonged to a shell corporation with nothing but a P.O. box. Jessica was stealing from him. His phone buzzed. A text from her. "Hey babe, working late tonight. Don't wait up. Love you." The audacity was breathtaking. He accessed their credit card statements. More surprises. Charges at fancy restaurants on his long surgery days. Hotel rooms booked on afternoons she claimed to be at yoga. Jewelry purchases from stores he'd never heard of. Jewelry he'd certainly never received. This wasn't a recent affair. This was calculated, long-term deception. He thought back to Leo's behavior. The subtle comments about marriage being hard work. The suggestions that maybe Nnanna was too focused on his career. Leo, a family law attorney, hadn't just stolen his wife. He'd been gathering intelligence. His phone rang. Jessica's name flashed on the screen. He let it go to voicemail. "Hey, sweetheart. Just wanted to check in. I know you had a rough day. Leo stopped by earlier to drop off some case files he wanted me to look at. He said he was worried about you. Such a good friend. Anyway, I'm going to be late. Client emergency. Get some rest. I love you." The lies rolled off her tongue so easily. If he hadn't seen them, he might have believed her. He pulled up Leo's social media. Photos tagged at locations he now recognized from the credit card statements. A subtle new watch that looked suspiciously like the one from the jewelry store purchase. A post from 3 weeks ago. "Sometimes the best things are worth keeping secret." Nnanna closed his laptop. He thought about Timothy again. The little boy he'd lost. His life snuffed out by someone else's selfish choices. Timothy's parents had no control. But Nnanna, he had all the control in the world. He returned home at midnight to find the house dark. Jessica's car was gone. The bedroom still smelled faintly of her perfume. He stripped the bed and went to work in Jessica's home office. The door was always locked, but he knew the code. Their anniversary. Even her passwords were lies. He photographed every document. Bank statements, tax returns, emails. What he discovered was worse than he'd imagined. Jessica hadn't just been skimming. She'd been systematically moving money from his medical practice's business accounts. As the owner, his signature was on everything, but she had managed to gain secondary access using documents he now realized were forged. Over the past year, she'd stolen nearly $200,000. He found her correspondence with Leo. Not love letters, but an exit strategy. Plans to liquidate assets, transfer money offshore, and leave the country together. Leo, using his legal expertise, had even prepared preliminary divorce papers designed to blindside Nnanna with accusations of abandonment and emotional neglect. They planned to destroy him professionally and personally. His phone buzzed. A text from Leo. Hey man, haven't heard from you. Everything okay? Heard you had a tough case. Wanna grab a beer tomorrow and talk? The fake concern was nauseating. Nnanna spent the next 3 hours documenting everything. By 4 a.m., he had a complete picture of their betrayal. But more importantly, he had leverage. The forged documents, the offshore accounts, the emails, they hadn't just betrayed him. They'd committed multiple felonies. He heard Jessica's car in the driveway at 6:30 a.m. She came upstairs quietly, but found him in the kitchen, fully dressed, making coffee. Hey babe, she said, kissing his cheek. You're up early. How are you feeling? Better, he said, pouring her a cup. Much better. I've been thinking, and I realized I need to make some changes. Fear flickered in her eyes. What kind of changes? Oh, just work stuff, he said casually. I've been letting other people handle important things. It's time I started paying closer attention to the details. Jessica's hand trembled slightly as she raised her coffee cup. That sounds smart. I'm glad you agree, Nnanna said, smiling at her with genuine warmth for the first time in hours. Because now, he knew exactly what he was going to do, and she had no idea what was coming. Over the next month, Nnanna's acting performance was flawless. He maintained perfect normalcy at home while systematically building his case. He hired Harrison Webb, a shark of a divorced lawyer Leo had once called too aggressive. Dr. Clifford, Webb said, in 30 years, I've rarely seen someone approach this with such strategic thinking. I'm a surgeon, Nnanna said simply. I don't make emotional decisions when a life is on the line. Your marriage's life is on the line. No, Nnanna corrected. My marriage is already dead. I'm just deciding how to dispose of the body. Webb smiled. I think we're going to work well together. Nnanna's team grew. A forensic accountant, a private investigator named Marcus Chin, and a cybersecurity expert who discovered professional-grade spyware on his laptop and phone. Leo, with his legal and investigative knowledge, had installed it over a year ago. The betrayal was a long-term conspiracy. The plan was simple. Let their greed destroy them. That evening, Nnanna came home visibly excited. Jess, I have amazing news, he announced. Remember that opportunity in Geneva? The Children's Hospital Network that wants me as their international chief of pediatric surgery. Jessica's eyes sharpened. They made an offer. Base salary of $2 million, plus equity that could be worth $50 million. That's incredible, she said, the dollar signs practically flashing in her eyes. I know. They want me to relocate in 3 months. A fresh start for us. The color drained from her face. 3 months wasn't enough time for their plan. He watched her scramble over the next week. Her panic texts with Leo, now monitored, were a joy to read. Their greed was making them sloppy. The breakthrough came when Leo suggested they manipulate Nnanna into signing a new power of attorney, giving Jessica access to all his accounts, including the new equity. Leo drafted the documents himself. When Jessica presented them, claiming their lawyer recommended it before the move, Nnanna almost laughed. Of course, he said, signing the fraudulent documents with a flourish. We should have everything in order. What they didn't know was that the documents were legally invalid. He'd used a subtly different signature, and most importantly, there was no job in Geneva. There was only the trap, and they had walked right into it. The final act was a going-away party for Nnanna's fake job. He insisted on a massive celebration, inviting 150 people. Doctors from the hospital, partners from Leo's law firm, neighbors, and friends. Everyone who mattered in their professional and social worlds would witness their downfall. He even hired a professional videographer to document the special moment. The party was a spectacular affair. At 8:30, Nnanna clinked his champagne glass. Thank you all for being here, he began. I have something to share. You see, I haven't been entirely honest. The truth is, there is no job in Geneva. A deafening silence fell over the patio. Jessica's glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the stones. I made it all up, Nnanna continued, his voice like ice, to see how far 2 people I trusted would go to steal from me, to see if my wife and my best friend were really planning to destroy my life for their own selfish gain. He held up a stack of documents. 6 weeks ago, I came home from losing a 7-year-old patient, needing comfort. Instead, I found my wife in our bed with my best man. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Their affair was just the beginning. Jessica has been stealing from my medical practice, nearly $300,000. And Leo, my brother, used his legal expertise to help her, all while planning their escape to Costa Rica. He then played a recording. Jessica's voice filled the air. He's so pathetically naive, working 14-hour days while I sleep with his best friend. If he wasn't making us so rich, I'd almost feel sorry for him. Then Leo's. The idiot actually thanked Jess for handling the finances. He has no idea we've stolen enough to buy a mansion. When the recording ended, Nnanna announced calmly, "Federal agents are positioned around the property. Jessica and Leo, you're both under arrest for wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy." As if on cue, 6 agents moved in. "You can't do this," Jessica screamed. Nnanna walked over to Leo, who stood frozen in shock. "And Leo," he said, reaching out and unstrapping the expensive watch from his wrist. "This belonged to my grandfather. Thank you for wearing it tonight. It made identifying you as a thief much easier." The trials were swift. The evidence was ironclad. Jessica was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Leo, for his greater role in the financial crimes and abuse of his legal knowledge, received 15 years. 2 years later, Dr. Nnanna Clifford stood at a podium, addressing the first annual conference of the Clifford Foundation, a nonprofit he'd funded with the recovered money to help victims of domestic financial abuse. "The worst betrayals come wrapped in the appearance of love," he told the crowd of 500. "But we are stronger than the people who try to destroy us. We are smarter than those who underestimate us." His life was proof. His practice was thriving. And he had found love again with Dr. Maya Sharma, a brilliant cardiac surgeon who celebrated his success instead of resenting it. Their wedding was planned for the spring. That night, Maya asked, "How many lives did you change today?" "At least one," he said, thinking of a call he'd received that afternoon from a young man named David, whose story of a cheating wife and stolen inheritance was heartbreakingly familiar. Nnanna had guided him, telling him what he now knew to be true. Seeking justice, exposing their crimes, making sure they couldn't hurt others. "I don't regret that for a second," he told David. "The question is whether you want to be a victim of her choices or the architect of your own recovery." As he fell asleep beside Maya, Nnanna felt a profound sense of peace. Jessica and Leo were irrelevant memories, footnotes in a closed chapter. His future, built on truth, success, and hard-won wisdom, was his alone. And that was the sweetest victory of all. And so, the final incision is made, not with a scalpel, but with the unassailable weight of truth. The corruption has been excised, and the healing can finally begin. The story of Dr. Nnanna Clifford was never simply about revenge. Revenge is a fire that consumes everything, including the one who lights it. This was about justice. It's a testament to the idea that our greatest strengths, our intellect, our discipline, our capacity for meticulous planning, do not desert us in our darkest hours. They become our sharpest tools for recovery. Nnanna's ultimate victory wasn't seeing his betrayers in handcuffs. It was in the quiet confidence of his new life, the warmth of a love built on honesty, and the purpose he found in turning his own pain into power for others. He didn't just survive. He became a symbol of resilience. Here at Quinn Timeless Tales, we believe in stories like this. Stories that show the enduring power of the human spirit. They remind us that even after the most profound betrayal, we have the power not just to rebuild, but to build something stronger and more authentic than what was lost. Thank you for joining us for Surgical Precision. We invite you to explore more of our collection, where you'll find powerful stories for the modern world. Until next time, remember that the most compelling chapters are the ones we write for ourselves.